Welcome to Episode 19, Choosing Between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Cloud computing gives organizations a menu of options rather than a single path. Each model, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, offers different balances of control, flexibility, and simplicity. The best choice depends not on fashion, but on outcomes, what you are trying to achieve for your business. Are you seeking agility, cost reduction, compliance, or rapid innovation? By anchoring decisions in outcomes rather than technology, you align choices with measurable value. The right model delivers more than performance. It delivers focus, allowing teams to spend time on what advances the mission rather than maintaining what does not. Time to value often trades off against customization depth. If your goal is to deploy quickly and start generating value, SaaS or PaaS typically win because they require less setup and operational work. You can focus on configuration and data rather than architecture. However, when the workload requires unique logic, specialized libraries, or hardware tuning, IaaS may be necessary. Consider a case where a marketing team needs campaign automation fast. SaaS gets them running today. Meanwhile, a research lab running custom simulations may need IaaS for total control. The balance between speed and control defines where each model shines. Agile decision-makers match the model to the urgency and complexity of their goal. Compliance scope and attestation requirements strongly influence deployment choice. Regulated industries must prove that data handling and system operations meet specific standards. SaaS vendors often carry the burden of certifications such as ISO, SOC, or FedRAMP, simplifying compliance reporting for customers. PaaS provides shared compliance. Microsoft secures the platform while you secure the applications and configurations. IaaS pushes the greatest responsibility to you, requiring detailed evidence for patches, monitoring, and access control. The deeper your compliance obligations, the more carefully you must define who owns each control. Matching the model to your governance maturity prevents surprises during audits and demonstrates due diligence to regulators and customers alike. Operational maturity and team skills determine how much control you can safely handle. Running IaaS environments requires comfort with operating systems, networking, and automation tools. PaaS simplifies those tasks but expects familiarity with cloud architecture and DevOps workflows. SaaS removes most operational work, focusing instead on governance and data stewardship. If your team lacks cloud operations experience, starting with SaaS or managed PaaS services can reduce learning risk. Over time, as skills grow, workloads can migrate to more flexible models. The cloud journey should match human capacity as much as technical ambition. Technology decisions that ignore skill maturity often lead to frustration and inefficiency. Performance, latency, and data gravity shape where workloads belong. Applications that need low-latency access to large datasets may perform best in IaaS or PaaS environments hosted near data sources. SaaS solutions, while convenient, might store data in global multi-tenant systems that introduce delay or cross-border complexity. Data gravity refers to the tendency for services and analytics to cluster around where data resides. Moving compute to data is usually cheaper and faster than moving data to compute. Understanding these physics-like constraints helps balance user experience, cost, and compliance. Each cloud model can support strong performance when designed with proximity, caching, and integration in mind. Cost predictability versus elasticity defines another key trade-off. SaaS typically offers fixed per-user or per-feature pricing that simplifies budgeting but limits flexibility. PaaS charges by resource tiers and usage, combining predictability with some elasticity. IaaS offers the most variable cost structure, perfect for bursty or experimental workloads but risky without governance. Choosing between them depends on financial priorities. If stability and simplicity matter most, SaaS or reserved PaaS tiers align well. If adaptability and fine-grained scaling are essential, IaaS provides the knobs. True cost efficiency emerges from continuous measurement, right-sizing, and the discipline to align spending with real demand. Vendor lock-in and portability concerns often appear late but should be addressed early. The deeper you integrate with a provider's proprietary services, the harder it becomes to migrate later. PaaS and SaaS both involve varying degrees of vendor dependency, as they rely on platform-specific APIs and workflows. IaaS offers greater portability, but at the cost of more manual effort. The strategy is not to avoid lock-in entirely. Some dependency is inevitable, but to manage it consciously. Use open standards where possible, export data regularly, and document integrations clearly. By planning portability up front, you preserve leverage and confidence, knowing you can pivot if business priorities or provider offerings change. Security control ownership preferences also guide model selection. In IaaS, you manage the guest operating system, security patches, and access policies. In PaaS, the provider secures the runtime, but you still manage application configuration, identity, and data. In SaaS, security becomes mostly configuration, who can log in, what they can access, and how data is classified. Some organizations prefer the control of IaaS because they can enforce their own tools and standards. Others prefer managed security because it reduces risk and operational effort. Aligning this decision with your security culture is key. Centralized control for assurance or delegated trust for agility. Prototyping small and validating assumptions early turns cloud selection from theory into practice. Rather than debating endlessly, spin up pilot environments in different models and measure results. For example, deploy a small app as both a container in PaaS and a virtual machine in IaaS. Then compare deployment speed, management effort, and performance. Early testing uncovers hidden costs and integration issues before scaling. It also builds confidence across teams and stakeholders. Cloud decisions should be evidence-based, not intuition-driven. Pilots provide data you can trust when justifying choices to leadership or auditors. A decision matrix helps structure scenario evaluation. List key factors, business urgency, customization needs, compliance requirements, and skill availability, then score each model against them. Seeing the trade-offs visually clarifies priorities and reduces bias. For example, IaaS might score high on flexibility but low on simplicity. PaaS might balance both. SaaS might win for speed but score low on customization. The goal isn't to crown a winner universally, but to identify the right fit for each workload. This transparency strengthens decisions and fosters alignment across technical and business teams, transforming debate into collaboration. Migration path and rollback planning ensure that cloud adoption remains reversible and controlled. Every model transition, whether from on-premises to IaaS or from PaaS to SaaS, should include a documented fallback plan. Backups, snapshots, and export routines guarantee data safety if something fails mid-transition. Phased migration, starting with low-risk workloads, builds experience while protecting critical systems. Treat rollback planning as insurance. You hope not to use it, but having it ready turns potential disasters into recoverable incidents. Mature cloud strategies emphasize gradual progress with checkpoints, not all-or-nothing leaps. Communicating rationale to stakeholders closes the loop. Executives need to understand how each choice supports business outcomes. Finance teams need clarity on cost models. Developers and administrators need confidence in technical fit. Summarizing your reasoning, supported by pilot data, decision matrices, and documented trade-offs, builds organizational trust. Transparency prevents second-guessing later and aligns expectations across teams. When everyone sees why a decision was made and what success looks like, the cloud model becomes a shared strategy, not a technical gamble. An adaptive selection playbook captures lessons from each project and refines them for the future. It documents how to evaluate workloads, test options, measure outcomes, and update standards as technology evolves. No model is permanent. What begins in IaaS may mature into PaaS or SaaS over time. Treat these models as stages in a continuum, not competing choices. The most successful organizations keep their cloud strategy flexible, guided by principles rather than rigid rules. Adaptability ensures that technology decisions continue to serve the business, not the other way around, keeping every workload in its best fit home as needs and opportunities change. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.